Hey guys, it's Megan, and if you're new to this channel, please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you can become a member of this very awkward family on the internet. So anyways, today's video is going to be kind of a Halloween safety public service announcement video. It's October and Halloween is around the corner. So I just want to remind my viewers, which the majority of you I believe are younger kids or maybe teenagers. Some of you are family, hi. But I want to talk about the importance of staying safe. I guess not just on Halloween, but like partying and all that stuff. You need to remember these things to stay safe because you don't want something bad to happen. Nobody wants something bad to happen, so staying safe is pretty important. So it's the 16th of October, so we're about halfway through the month. We've got, let's see, probably 15 more days until Halloween. So I have this written down, I guess, typed out into sections. So first I want to talk about safety for kids. So I've got these bullet points and all that. I'm all professional. Not really, I wanted to figure out what to say and didn't want to leave anything out. I asked my friends on Facebook if they had any tips and stuff that they wanted included in this video. So I'm going to mention not just things that I came up with, but tips that I was given on Facebook. I didn't write down which ones I came up with and which ones came from Facebook. I just had them all written down. They're all pretty common sense things, but you might not think about them. So first of all, for kids, you need to watch for cars. Yes, it's the driver's responsibility to pay attention for pedestrians, always, 100% of the time, but it increases your chances of not getting hit if you're looking for cars too. So like, don't just run across the street without looking. Seriously, that is the easiest way to get hit. Except for, you know, running out in front of a moving car, but don't do that either. Don't get separated from your parents or friends. So I guess it's kind of unavoidable if it does happen, and it's not your fault if it happens, but try your best to make sure you know where your parents are or you know where your friend group is that you're with, because it's not good to get separated. And if you do get separated, look for a person who has kids and not just some random adult. Like if you are separated from your parents or your group, don't just look for a random adult to go ask for help. Look for an adult who has kids with them because they're more likely to help you and not kidnap you, but also still be cautious. Next I have on here is don't eat your candy before you get home, which is also followed by don't complain when your parents are checking your candy for razor blades, because it's a lot better to have a bag full of safe candy than to be in the emergency room because you have a razor blade between your teeth. So it's really weird to think about that, but people are sick and twisted and will do the weirdest things, and it's just not a good idea to eat your candy before your parents check it. Like, yeah, when you're a teenager and you have common sense to check and make sure you're not getting drugged, but when you're a little kid, you should just let your parents check your candy before you eat it. And if you're a little kid, you shouldn't be trick-or-treating without your parents unless you're with like a relative or a friend's parent. And still, don't eat your candy before your parents check it, and don't whine about it when your parents ask for it. They might take a couple pieces of candy. Ultimately, it's better for them to take a couple pieces of candy and make sure your candy is safe. Next I have on here is if you are like a teenager or like an older kid, I guess, like not super young, but like not an adult fully, I guess. If you're with your friends and you're out trick-or-treating or whatever and you see a little kid, like somebody who's like clearly really little, and they don't have anyone with them, this one was suggested on Facebook, I do remember that. You should ask them if they're lost, and if they are, try and call their parents if they know their number, because it's just not morally right to leave a little kid lost on Halloween in the dark, because they deserve to enjoy their night too, and they shouldn't have to worry about being lost. So try and help out in any way you can. If you're an adult and you don't have kids with you, maybe don't approach a younger child. Actually, I'm serious, please don't approach younger children when they're alone and you don't have kids of your own, because that's really creepy. Also, don't go up to houses that don't have their porch light on, because usually they're not handing out candy. That's kind of a general thing, is people turn on their porch lights when they plan on handing out candy on Halloween. So if you're just around the block and you want to stop at every single house to get as much candy as you can, just go to the doors with their porch lights on, because you don't want to get yelled at by some old person who really just hates kids. And next up, make sure you're checking the time frequently so you don't stay out too late, because sometimes creeps come out when it's too late and you don't want to deal with that. And this next point I want to make is actually very, very serious, and I think it's probably one of the more important points on this safety list, is never ever enter the vehicle of someone you do not know, no matter the circumstances. If you do not know the person, do not enter their vehicle. It is the easiest way to get kidnapped, and it's just not worth it. There are so many horror stories about children getting kidnapped and chopped up into little pieces, and I guess I was kind of had this burned into my brain as a kid, is to never enter a vehicle, never accept candy from strangers in vehicles, because there's some twisted people in the world. And next up on this list is, if it feels like you're being followed, call your parents if you're not with them, or call someone you know that's nearby, because it's very possible to be followed, especially on Halloween when many people are wearing masks and not everyone is out for candy. The next point is, it should be obvious, but some kids I guess just don't understand, but I know a lot of people take their dogs with them on Halloween for some reason. But if you're a kid and you see a dog and you want to pet it, but you don't know the dog, don't run or chase the dog, and please don't pet it without asking their owner, because it's seriously your fault if you get bitten by a dog and you didn't ask permission to pet it and you didn't stay cautious. So it's just really frustrating for you and for the owner if you end up getting bit because you didn't remain cautious around this animal that you are not familiar with. Moral of the story, don't pet dogs you don't know without asking first. So now this next section is about adult safety on Halloween, or the month of Halloween, because there's gonna be Halloween parties, costume parties that you're gonna wanna go to, work parties, but the first thing on here should be the most obvious, and it is don't drink and drive. And I know a lot of you think that you can drive perfectly fine when you're intoxicated, but sorry to burst your bubble or whatever, you didn't listen in school, you didn't listen to everyone on the planet telling you not to drink and drive. But please, seriously, don't do it. Don't risk the lives of other people. Don't risk the lives of yourself. Don't risk your own life just because you want to drink and drive. If you're gonna go somewhere and drink, make sure you're not intoxicated before you leave, or if you are still intoxicated, leave your car and call an Uber or call a taxi or take a bus or just walk, because ultimately that is the safest way to get where you need to go, because driving drunk is only going to endanger you and everyone else on the street. Also, this one was suggested by my older sister. I can't remember the entire thing without reading it directly from the paper, but if you're going to be drinking with others, provide your own alcohol and do not accept drinks from anyone other than the hand of an actual bartender. And but what I mean by that is, unless you are providing your own alcohol, do not drink it, because it's just safer that way. And if you do plan on partying and going to a bar, only accept alcohol from the actual bartender and not from some creep who's like, hey, I bought you a drink, here, take it, because it's likely spiked. I mean, it's not always going to be, but it could be, and is spiked the right word? I think the word I meant to say is it's likely drugged or laced, I guess. So seriously, just only accept alcohol from bartenders and yourself. So yeah, that's one important safety rule, I guess, to live by, not just for Halloween, but for most of the time. Also, for basically everyone, and it's not just men that do this, women do it too, but I have written here, just because the hot girl's drunk and wearing a sexy, insert character here, costume does not give you the right to invade her personal space. Yeah, lots of girls like to dress up and dress in sexy costumes, and that is perfectly fine, that is their choice, but it does not give you the right to invade their personal space. So please, seriously, consent is still important on Halloween. And also, when you're driving, be extra cautious and looking for pedestrians, because when it's dark out on Halloween, there's bound to be children running across the street to get to every single house, because they don't entirely understand the concept of going down one side of the street and then going back the other side. So they're gonna be running across the street to get to every single house. So seriously, pay attention, and not all of them will be wearing reflective tape or reflecting anything. Some of them will be wearing dark cloaks and impossible to see without your headlights. So seriously, be careful driving, because you really don't want to hit a kid, and they really don't want to get hit either, even though they might not be thinking about it. Anyways, I'm moving on to the parents portion of my safety video. And this is actually the longest one because I feel like parents have like a lot of responsibility on Halloween to keep their kids safe, and they have the biggest impact on keeping their kids safe. So this is a long list. First point is, don't let your kids go trick-or-treating alone. Like, yeah, you might be tired, you might not want to go, you might not want to dress them up, and you might not want to dress up yourself and just go have fun with your kid, because not everybody enjoys trick-or-treating or whatever. But if you really, really can't go with them, make sure you set up a specific time for them to return home, and make sure they know your phone number. Not every kid has it memorized by heart, especially in this day and age where every 6-year-old has a freaking iPhone. I didn't when I was 6, but whatever, that's not what this video is about. But if they don't have a phone, make sure that they know your phone number, so if they do end up needing to contact you, they can borrow a friend's phone or whatever and call you, because something could happen, and if they don't know your number, that's not good. And I guess I can add, make sure they know their address, because then if they need to get taken home by a friend's parent who might not know their address, then they can take them there. And make sure they have a friend with them, like I think I already said that, or not. And make sure you go over a plan with them in case of an emergency. So like, prepare them for the worst case scenario, and that way they will know what to do when something happens, or if something happens. Also, check the weather before letting your kids leave the house for the night, because rain and costumes does not mix well, and neither does snow and thunderstorms. So yeah, if it's gonna be cold out, make sure your kids wear long johns under their costumes, or any form of layering, I guess. And if it looks like it's gonna rain, make sure they have a poncho or an umbrella they can take with them. Umbrellas are usually more convenient, but ponchos can help, and they actually don't blow away as easy. Anyways, and if it's thunderstorming or any other form of severe weather, don't let your kids go trick-or-treating. It's just not worth it. There's a Halloween every single year, and if it's thunderstorming or tornado warning, obviously no one's gonna be stupid enough to let their kids go trick-or-treating during a tornado warning, but sometimes people are just like, they don't think about the weather, and they might try and go anyways. So yeah, be wary of the weather. This is a point that I thought was kind of important to make, and it's that it's never ever appropriate to let your kids play with authentic weapons and working weapons, like let's say like an authentic sword, just a sword you have that they want to use for their costume. Don't let them play with it, because they could seriously injure themselves or one of their other friends, and it's just not worth it. And if they're dressed up as a cop and they want to have a gun, seriously, you've got to be messed up in the head to let your kid go trick-or-treating with an actual gun, even if it's not loaded. I don't know, maybe if it's not loaded it's safer, but still, no, don't let your kid go trick-or-treating with a gun. It's just not safe. You don't let your kid go to school with a gun. Don't let them trick-or-treat with a gun. So like, just because it looks cool with the costume doesn't mean it's safe. Halloween stores have plenty of fake weapons and stuff that kids can play with. It's just better that way. Go to a Halloween store and get some props for them. Don't let them play with real weapons, please. It's not worth it. Also, this is another one from Facebook, and it's, if you're passing out candy and want to avoid disappointing kids who can't have candy, because there are some kids with allergies that are just unavoidable, but they still want to participate in Halloween and trick-or-treating, consider going to a dollar store or something and purchasing some cheap Halloween plastic toys as an alternate option to the trick-or-treaters. So like, you can still have candy, but like then also have like a little thing of toys or whatever that they could pick from if they can't have candy. The next one I have is, it relates to a point I made earlier. When your kids come back with their bags of candy, make sure you check their candy for razor blades or any suspicious looking questionable candy, because sometimes people give kids drugs, which I don't understand why or how that's even a thing, because like aren't drugs like expensive and hard to get? Or they should be hard to get. I guess they're not that hard to get. I'm not experienced with drugs, I don't know. But make sure you're checking their candy for anything that looks suspicious and unsafe, and then they can have their candy later. And as fun as it may sound to dress your dog up and take them with you on Halloween, it's kind of recommended not to take your dog on Halloween because they get really stressed out in big crowds, and like, I don't care how much of a people dog your dog is, it's still gonna get stressed out if you're taking it where there's a bunch of little kids running around and waving their fake swords and all that. It's just too stressful for your dog. Many dogs don't react well to children running around, and often children will chase unfamiliar dogs, which can result in a nasty situation, which I already went over earlier, but like, it's obviously not your fault if your dog gets freaked out and bites a child, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. Some kids are just like very, very, very obnoxious and don't know how to act around dogs. So if you really have to take your dogs, make sure your dog is on a short leash so it doesn't like weave through like the crowds or whatever and get tangled up in people's ankles. I have a leash at home that we take my dog Skittles on, and it's short enough for him to just like walk alongside us, and he doesn't mind walking close to us because it's easier that way, and it doesn't get like wrapped between his legs and stuff, which is nice. But also watch the ground for tacks and sharp objects, because there are some sick people in the world who like to hurt dogs, and that is really messed up. And it was an article I actually read a few years ago about people warning us not to take our dogs out on Halloween because there apparently was a group of people who were putting tacks on the ground and sharp objects to hurt dogs, which is so messed up. And the final point I have on here is, if you plan on handing out candy, turn on your porch light so kids know they can come to your door. Another point I have for like kid safety is make sure you have a flashlight. If you don't have a phone with a flashlight on it, just make sure you have a regular flashlight to take with you so you can see if it's gonna be dark out when you're trick-or-treating. And now that is everything I have for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and took something out of it. I love October. Halloween was one of my favorite holidays as a kid, and it's still one of my favorite holidays now. And yeah, it's just better to have a safe holiday and month than to be stressed out and have something bad happen. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave it a big thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed already, please be sure to do that, because I upload new videos every Monday and Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I will see you guys in my next video. I love you, and I will see you guys later. Bye.